Hello everyone, I'm Jamyjet and today we're going to be talking about indie games, specifically indie horror games. The genre is arguably the most oversaturated of all the gaming genres. That's why I've taken it upon myself to narrow it down to 10 of the best out there right now. Enjoy! Number 10, Albino Lullaby. Probably the shortest game on the list, but it features some of the most atmospheric environments and interesting enemy design of any indie horror game I've played. Episode 1 is currently available, with Episode 2 in development right now. Number 9, The Park. It's not a unique concept for an indie horror game, but it has some great level design and some intriguing story that draws the player in from the get-go. It's definitely worth checking out, although the price is quite steep considering the time it takes to beat. It takes around an hour to 90 minutes to finish, so I'd recommend picking this one up on a sale, but still worth not missing if you're into the genre. Number 8, Left Alone. Left Alone is a progressive and slow-paced indie horror game with a more old-school approach, where you scout for items in spooky environments, with the occasional jump scare thrown in too for good measure. Number 7, Slender the Arrival. I won't talk about this one for as long as I already featured it in my top 15 indie games of all time video, but in general it's a modern take on the Slender Man mythos, with some twists and turns thrown in for good measure. Ironically, at number 6 we have Resident Evil 7. After playing through the game recently, I felt like I had to put it on the list. While it's a great horror game, it doesn't always feel like it's a great horror game. At places it feels a bit repetitive and redundant, and it turns into a bit of a grind shooter, towards the end of the game at least. It starts off really strong, and it's clearly taken inspiration from games like PT, but it starts to fall to pieces towards the end of the game, hence why it's only at number 6 on the list. Still a really great horror game, and if you're willing to pay the price, I'd recommend picking it up right now. At number 5 we have Dead by Daylight, and as far as original indie horror games go, this one's right up there, pitting 4 survivors against one killer in an open map. And despite some bugs and flaws and hitches at launch, it's still a fun game to pick up and play. At number 4 we have Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Another game where a player wakes up with no memory of previous events. Seems cliche, I know, but it's probably where indie horror games began with the exception of Penumbra, and it still stands the test of time to this very day. In at number 3 is Outlast, one of my favourite games of all time, let alone of the genre. It really puts the survival in survival horror, with Whistleblower being one of my favourite pieces of DLC, and the sequel right around the corner. There's no better time to jump in and play the game. SOMA blew me away when it first came out, fusing a poignant narrative, making you question your very existence, with a chilling dystopian aesthetic. I think fictional games proved that they really are masters of this genre. And in at number 1 is indeed Alien Isolation. I know it's technically not an indie horror game, it's more of just a horror game in general, but having a horror game be around 15 to 20 hours to beat was almost unheard of at this point, but it's got an 18 odd long campaign, and the game managed to pull it off with flying colours, with some of the creepiest environments from abandoned spaceships to alien hives themselves. There's really not a lot to dislike about Alien Isolation in general. So there you have it, guys. That's my top 10 favourite indie horror games, maybe with the exception of Alien Isolation. If you guys have your own list, let me know down below in the comments. Be sure to post them. We can have a little discussion about what your favourite ones are. If you guys have ones that you thought should have been incorporated in the list, also let me know as well. I'd like to get a discussion going. There are probably reasons that they aren't on the list. Either I haven't played them or perhaps I didn't have as good an experience with them as you did. Let me know down below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out. Boop.